Okay. Welcome to the January 15th, 2026 meeting of the Northampton City Council. I'm City Council President Rachel Maori. I'll be presiding this evening along with Vice President Deborah Clemmer. Laura, may we have a roll call?
Sure. Councilor Davis.
Present.
Okay. Councilor Dobbs.
Here.
Councilor Clemmer.
Here.
Councilor Loisel. Here. Councilor Maori.
Here.
Councilor Nabad.
Here.
Councilor Perry.
Here.
Councilor Robbins.
Here.
And Councilor Stratton.
Here.
Madam President, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Okay. So this meeting and all participating in person and on Zoom will be audio and video recorded. The meeting can be watched on Comcast Channel 15 or by streaming on Northampton Open Media's YouTube channel. Before we get started, just a point of information for the counselors. Please feel free to get up and get water. You're allowed to get up and move around and take what the teachers would call a bio break. If you want a longer one, or you're afraid of missing a vote, then all you would do is raise your hand and ask and request a recess at any point, and we'll take a recess. Okay. So first item on the agenda is just the announcement of public hearings. So first one is the announcement of a public hearing on 25.355 National Grid petition for Park Hill Road per MGL Chapter 166, Section 22. The Northampton City Council will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 5th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. in Council Chambers, 212 Main Street, Northampton, Mass. On National Grid's petition to relocate one SO pole. And what is that?
Singly owned.
Singly owned pole, and install new mid-span pole on Park Hill Road to accommodate a service update request. Okay, I think that's all I need to read about that. All persons, the City Council will hear all persons who wish to be heard thereon. And then the second announcement for the public hearing is 25.357 National Grid and Verizon petition to install jointly owned and mid-span poles and relocate existing pole number 15 on Holly Street per MGL Chapter 166, Section 22. The Northampton City Council will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 5th, 2026 at 6:35 p.m. in Council Chambers, 212 Main Street, Northampton, Mass. On National Grid / Verizon petition to install a jointly owned and mid-span poles and relocate existing pole number 15 on Holly Street. Instructions for accessing the hearing may be found on the February 5th City Council agenda. And the City Council will hear all persons who wish to be heard thereon. Okay. I have to get another sheet of,
Yeah.
It's okay. So,
I was going to wait till you get through that
yeah.
one.
So we're on to public comment. So if you wish to make a public comment, I see people have signed up already in person. You can also raise your hand in the room after we go through the list. If you're on Zoom, use the raise hand feature. The raise hand feature is at the bottom of the menu bar. Click on React and then raise hand. If you're calling in by phone, you can raise your hand by hitting *9. If you're having trouble raising your virtual hand, then please turn on your video and physically raise your hand if you're on Zoom. If you want to submit a written public comment, please email to citycouncil, one word, @northamptonma.gov. It'll be sent to all counselors and be part of the public record. I'll alternate as usual between people in the room and people on Zoom. Before you begin, please state your name and your city or town for the public record, and please feel free to share your pronouns. To ensure everyone has an equal opportunity to speak, the council limits comments to a max of 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, I will ask you to finish your sentence. And according to council rules, we do not respond during public comment, as it is your time to speak. Your protected speech is a constitutional right. and one that we ask you to wield with consideration and respect for all, and with recognition that the public space that grants you that freedom is shared equally by everyone. Let's see. If you need an accommodation for additional time, please reach out in advance of the meeting to Laura, our admin assistant, or myself. Any other kinds of accommodation access, you can reach out to our ADA coordinator. This is all on the agenda. You may speak on any topic. It does not need to be an item on the agenda. And all comments should be directed to the council. And just a reminder, we have members, well, maybe not anymore, with hearing accessibility concerns. So if you don't have the floor, please use motions rather than sound so folks can hear. Okay, with all that, let's get on to public comment. So the first name I see is Al Simon. Let me get up Zoom.
Good evening, everybody. Al Simon, Ward 2, Northampton. Didn't realize I'd be starting the next 2-year term for public comment tonight, but I'm happy to kick it off. At the start of your new 2-year term, I'd like to offer a couple thoughts for you to keep in mind. Last month, the mayor proposed and the council approved a $13 million capital project for geothermal energy in the high school. This $13 million was not in the approved capital improvements plan, and by itself is more than 10% of the entire 5-year, $103 million capital plan previously adopted. The point here is to show the type of flexibility and discretion the mayor's office has when it comes to spending money. This brand new unscheduled project adds about $500,000 per year in recurring expenses to pay off the 20-year loan. As we know, recurring expenses require recurring revenues to pay for them. Somehow the mayor's office did find $500,000 in recurring revenue to pay for a project which had not been scheduled. Regardless of what you think of the merits of the project, and I do classify it as a want, not a need, the example of finding a substantial recurring money is instructive. The mayor's office can find money for things it wants. Of course, as a choice, this recurring money could also be used for ongoing operations, such as the school budget. But once again, that was not the choice made. It's still a question of priorities. My second point is that the November election was a referendum on the current administration and its policies and direction. A majority of the voters who came to the polls chose not to vote for the mayor. This is a vote of no confidence in her policies and direction. All city leaders should recognize this and collaborate to change policy decisions to address resident concerns, focused on the essential services we provide with greater engagement and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On Zoom, we have Nan. Let's see if you can.
Nancy Smith, Chapel Street. Love streamlining of council rules. Yes. I'm opposed to forcing members to be in chambers for meetings. It limits participation for those with children without transportation. Same for public commenters and camera requirements. Bring people into the process, not limit them. Love the idea of inviting committees, boards, and experts to council for updates. Transparency, inclusion, streamlining, yes. Dr. Wheel's report on geothermal underperformance at Smith was shocking to Smith and to him. He was honest about no rush to sign contracts as geothermal funding is not ending. Still, the old council rushed to sign contracts for NPS. Why would people rush through a huge project that is underperforming? Smith will not be fossil fuel free, being heavily dependent on their old system. Close election. I actually heard deals were made to give the mayor 4 more years. If that is true, I'm guessing maybe the extended after-school hours starting next fall was one. Great. Shiny object likely funded by the state and possibly some foundations. 2026 is an election year. Are large contracts or big party donors behind the rush to sign geothermal contracts? I am grateful to climate action activists and do not believe they are enemies of the school or vice versa. Our administration creates conflict like the now debunked schools versus senior sham. Our schools have been intentionally underfunded for years. If geothermal is not performing here, if PMS is not happening for years, I believe all these groups under non-combative and non-vengeful leadership can come together and right the wrongs done to our children and schools. Critics of the mayor's policies are being called Trumpian now by our allies. Trump wants to kill Head Start, the Department of Education. Heroes who oppose that are called resistors. Here, the mayor vilifies and attacks resistors to our underfunding of schools, to buy dilapidated churches and things that aren't working. Who was really Trumpian then? Please stop tossing me our children's futures and attacking our heroes. Civility begins with you. Fully fund our schools via the budget. It's streamlining and morality at its best. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, in the room, we have Luke Rotello.
Hi, my name is Luke Rotello. I live in Ward 5, and I'm the co-chair of the Western Massachusetts Club of the CPUSA. We enter this new council term facing harrowing circumstances, as I'm sure we're all aware. Sections of our country are under paramilitary occupation, facing siege by ICE agents bearing chemical weapons and quotas for the abduction of people. Our government has itself abducted the leader of Venezuela in violation of any law and precedent, and now looks to the rest of Latin America in pursuit of ever-expanding war. As we asserted during my campaign for city council last year, these are political crises that demand political solutions at the level of council as well as all levels of society. They are inseparable from the policies of austerity within our local and state contexts, and I'll note the transfer of more than $2 million in free cash to stabilization funds that is on tonight's agenda. These crises emerge from the erosion of democratic rights and the collapse of civil society, which has created inroads for MAGA's politics here in Massachusetts, and they fester from the operation of L3 Harris, a genocidal war profiteer supportive of the Trump administration within our city limits. It is in this light that we will seek, in coming weeks and months, the establishment of 2 new commissions in defense of the rights of workers and queer and transgendered residents. We will likewise continue to advance with urgency the struggles for peace and democracy within our city and region. It is a pivotal moment, and our city must act like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On Zoom, we have Jennifer Scarlett.
Hi, thank you. Yes, Jennifer Scarlett, she, her. I live in Northampton, Ward 4. Complacent Northampton calls itself a peace city while offering prime real estate to L3 Harris. Complacent voters choose warmongering, ICE expanding, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris, all of whom refuse to acknowledge the direct connection between the fascist terror that our tax dollars fund in Palestine and the fascist terror conducted by Trump's domestic army. Have we asked ourselves what role the Northampton Police Department would play should ICE, DHS, CBP, the National Guard, the Marines come to town for a racist and anti-First Amendment rampage? As can be seen from last weekend's large anti-ICE rally on Main Street, people are deeply concerned and opposed to ICE, but they are vulnerable not only to federal, but to local law enforcement as well. In the best of times, an armed police force must be accountable to the people. In a time when a domestic army is killing, maiming, kidnapping, and human trafficking with impunity, we need far more than casual chats with the chief, like the one at Thorns tomorrow. The City Council must require that the NPD hold mandatory monthly public meetings at which city government is present. The NYPD in New York City is required to hold formal monthly community meetings in every precinct. The NPD must do the same. Is Northampton a city of laws and constitutional protections? Or is it a city of inevitable collaboration between federal brown shirts and local cops? I urge the City Council to create structures, transparency, and accountability to demand answers to these questions and ensure the protections the public requires. Fascism must be fought, not acquiesced to. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. I have Laura Belushi in council chambers.
Just hand them out to the counselors or you can give it.
There you go. Okay, good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to the new members. My name is Laura Belushi. I live in Ward 4, Northampton, of course, and I am here this evening to back up on something where we left off last time, and that is the proclamation that was signed, the anti-nuclear proclamation that was signed. Thank you to my friend Phil for passing those out. As a reminder, now returning counselors have already received one of those, but whatever, in collegiality and everything, I thought I'd give you another one. This also an update, and of course, I'm proud to be anti-L3 Harris. And on this day, I'm going to read a proclamation and give it to Mayor Gina Louise Schara. On this day, January 15th, 2026, we, the undersigned, issue to Mayor Gina Louise Schara this proclamation for her failure to honor the covenant of mayors for peace. Quote, the program to promote solidarity of cities towards the total abolition of nuclear weapons, unquote, signed into law by Northampton Mayor Claire Higgins in 2005. Mayor Schara signed another document, the longer document, although it has you whereas and all that legal, in 2023, which says to me that she is still interested in upholding
That's time, if you could just
the
finish your
nuclear-free
sentence, please.
ban. I will in a moment, and I just want to present this framed copy to the mayor, and the co-signers are
Laura, the comments are for council, not the mayor. She's here as a courtesy.
Okay.
You can leave it there, or you can,
Can I just read the names of the co-signers?
no, your time is up, I'm afraid.
Can I just read the names of the
No,
co-signers?
no, you can't.
Okay, well, you all have them. And
On Zoom, we have DY.
Oh, hi, I'm trying to get my video, but.
Yeah, let me
let's
see
it
if
can be-
maybe, let me just make sure we didn't. I think she should be able to turn your
see.
video.
It says it's disabled, but I can just
Huh.
talk if,
I can, let's see, let me try this. Does that work?
okay,
Did you do?
No?
yeah.
Oh, good. Hi.
Okay. Hi, it's Deborah Yaffe. My name is
You're
Deborah
waiting,
Yaffe, and I live in South Deerfield. I'm speaking today to urge city council members to support a weapons ban ordinance in Northampton and to shut down L3 Harris. Over the last 2 years, Israel's genocide of Palestinians has been armed by L3 Harris and funded by our tax dollars. ICE's military takeover of our streets, the murder and kidnapping of residents, has been bought and paid for by we the people without our consent. L3 Harris is committing war crimes in Palestine while ICE is violating the Constitution and murdering people in our own country. Weapons manufacturers are in every state, and are even on the board of directors of Mass General. It's never been more clear that no matter who is in office, weapons manufacturers are profiting. They profit from death and destruction, and they're instrumental in destroying lives here in the US, in Palestine, and around the world. We have never been closer to mass destruction and nuclear war. We, the people, must act now. Our public good, services, what we depend on, are being drained of resources, so companies like L3 Harris can literally make a killing making a killing. L3 Harris technology, known as the trusted disruptor, brags about connecting space, air, land, cyber, all in the interest of national security. While L3 Harris, arms nuclear weapons and ISIS surveillance equipment, Chris Kubasek, the CEO, is making, millions of dollars and is worth about 150 million today. So my last statement is about, if we really care about preserving the public good, which I know the city council and the city does, about a community that values life, the environment, and this planet, will work to end nuclear proliferation and war profiteering in our own backyard. To remain silent while L3 Harris...
That's time,
profits
if you
from-
could just finish the sentence, please.
Thank you. While L3 Harris continues to profit and commit war crimes while we remain silent makes us complicit in these crimes. So this isn't the time to remain silent. I urge you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. In the room, we have Mel Flaxer.
Hi, my name is Mel, and I live in East Hampton. Hello, City Council, and welcome new members. I am here to urge you to join with us to pass a weapons ban ordinance and to shut down L3 Harris. L3 Harris arms genocide in Palestine, ICE kidnappings, and nuclear war. And to me, it is self-evident why we need to shut down this death factory and get it out of our town. Over this past election season, I heard many of you say things along the lines of like, oh yes, I agree with you. L3 Harris shouldn't be here, but unfortunately it's not under the purview of City Council to do this. Many different arguments as to why, many of them compelling. And I just want to tell you that if this is the very first time you have felt very small and powerless in the face of empire, welcome to the struggle. All social movements begin here, feeling small and powerless, and that is by design. It is how L3 Harris wants us all to feel, so that we feel defeated and give up and end our fight. And so I want to invite you to honor that feeling and set it aside so that we can join together and begin the true work of social change and resistance here. Let's protect our comrades overseas, our neighbors in ICE detention, and each other. And I'm emotional because it's a really scary time right now. And thinking about what's happening in Minneapolis, like the ways in which these weapons manufacturers sort of ship component parts of weapons to each other and profit off of it is very convoluted by design. But like in the same way that our L3 Harris is directly murdering Palestinians, like there is a chance that either our L3 Harris or one of them is also arming ICE in Minneapolis right now. Like the connections are real and present. And so let's join together and use the power we have that we can even imagine how much of it we have together. Let's shut down L3 Harris and pass the weapons ban ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. On Zoom, we have Dan Brindell. Let me make sure you can do your camera. That's the start video. Dan, can you turn your camera on? Yeah, it worked. Okay. Good evening. Oh, he's not up there, though. Interesting.
He hasn't unmuted.
Oh, yeah, I think you have to unmute. Can you not? Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Hi. My name's Dan Brindell. I live down on Phillips Place. I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you tonight in Chambers. I see many of my friends both on the council and in the audience. It's great to see you guys. Democracy at work. I'd like real quick, if I could, to speak to the form-based code. It's this giant omnibus bill. It was passed actually in the early days of 2022. It was kind of the biggest legislative accomplishment of the last council and this mayor, but most people actually don't really know about it. In many ways, it hasn't really gone into effect that much. In terms of zoning, there's something called sufficient to identify. That's part of the zoning laws of Massachusetts. When you make zoning changes in a municipality like ours, you have to alert the public to it. We all know about that. It has to be published and et cetera, et cetera. But when you alert the public, you have to alert them to the specific lots that are being rezoned, the extent to which they're being rezoned, the nature of the rezoning. That was not done here. And that's why most people actually don't know about the form-based code. And that's also why I don't think actually many of the councilors, almost none of which are still on the council right now, who passed this thing even know about everything that it did. We're now seeing it come to fruition. And it hasn't created any of the affordable housing that ostensibly it was supposed to, though we are building affordable housing in the city without it. But what it is doing is it's creating consternation, it's creating safety issues. Because there was not sufficient notification, it sidestepped historical oversight, security oversight, safety oversight, natural environment oversight. Every single neighborhood is being shocked that these changes were made. In the past election, which was a referendum on the mayor, I think the voters of this city refuted the mayor's agenda, and this is central to the mayor's agenda. That doesn't mean we throw it out with the bathwater, but it means we should reconsider it. We are not unanimous. Certainly the city is divided, and I would ask this council to please relook at this thing. It was passed in 3 weeks in the early days of 2022.
That's time.
online
Dan, if you
only,
could finish your
and
sentence,
during-
please.
Online only, and during the pandemic, this thing was passed. It deserves much more oversight than that, which the state and the people in this city know, as well as this council. I look forward to you guys considering it, talking about it, and reviewing it. And it's great to see everybody there. Deb, Chris, Jeff, everybody else.
Okay.
It's great to see you guys.
Night. Thank you. Okay. In the room, we have Catherine Yeagle.
Hi there, my name's Catherine Yeagle. I'm a resident of Northampton, Ward 6, and I'm here also to talk about L3 Harris.
Oh, and could you say your city, or, well, I guess Ward 6, yeah.
Northampton, Ward 6.
That'll go.
Northampton really loves to tout itself as being a really progressive city, and yet we have the country's 6th largest weapons manufacturer right down the road. They are creating components of weapons that are going to ICE, are going to Palestine, are being used by the US military all over the world, and it's right here in our city, and we can do something about it. It is possible. It's really frustrating to keep hearing the excuses for why not, why it can't happen. And I just want to say, imagine if Northampton did get rid of L3 Harris, how incredible that would be, how nationally inspiring that would be to be a city that actually made that change and put our foot down and said, we are opposed to fascism and we're making tangible changes here. We're refusing to support the manufacturing of weapons in our city. Yeah, so I really urge you to consider this and make it a priority this term. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Online, we have Amy Bookbinder. Let me just get your camera. Oop. And that. Can you, okay.
Okay, I don't want to be on video.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Should I start?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please do.
Hello, everyone. There's a lot being addressed tonight, and I'm going to make some brief comments on a few things. First, please keep all funding proposals to first reading only, or refer to committees for further study. To ensure adequate input from the public, the school committee as requested, and other stakeholders. Second, regarding possible approval of Attorney Seawald for another term, which I'm not recommending, I think it is important for the council to have its own attorney, which would help to reassert the separation of powers in our government that sharing an attorney with the mayor contradicts. Third, it is now known that L3 Harris is collaborating with ICE. Mayor, you can and must do better. And as another mayor has said about ICE, and you should tell L3 Harris, get the fuck out. Mayor, if you're concerned about ICE, you must take action now to remove L3 Harris. And lastly, given the predicted impending ICE surge to the Boston area and Northampton's reputation as a progressive city and possible target, I hereby call on the mayor, this council, the school committee, and other relevant groups to devise and publicize a plan to protect us, especially our brown people, our children in their schools, and others most vulnerable to ICE. This includes better defining whether or not we are a sanctuary city and what the Northampton police have been instructed to do if ICE comes to our city. This can't wait. The time is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Okay. In the room, we have Shelley Berkowitz. There she is, yeah.
Good evening. I'm from Ward 1. Good to see all the new faces here. The recent Northampton inaugurations, at the inauguration, the mayor advised the public and the members of our city government to be joyful if they disagree with her. This mantra makes me as a woman especially angry. While the mayor herself is a woman, her words reminded me of how I felt when I was younger, and creepy guys would call and pass me in the street and command me to smile, as if I was obligated to look pleased and happy because some jerk thinks it's their right to demand this from me. By no means am I saying that only women were pissed at the mayor's command to be joyful, but that certainly is what I felt. Psychologically, it felt like cognitive dissonance is the term. Horrible things are happening now, as we all know, in our city and beyond. Yet the recommended solution is to smile and be joyful, to avoid honest discourse. This fits the narrative of The Handmaid's Tale. Was I expected to be joyful when I saw the flag at City Council flying at half-mast to honor a white supremacist, Charlie Kirk? That was a choice made, a bad choice. Was I expected to be joyful hearing the mayor during the election saying that nothing can be done about L3 Harris's toxic presence in Northampton, despite their $4.4 million contract with ICE to provide tracking surveillance of immigrants' phones, if you didn't know that? I fully support all those here, by the way, who made comments about getting rid of L3 Harris, their existence entirely in Northampton. Is joy the rational response to knowing that discussing a mid-year appropriation for our schools was hijacked off the final school committee meeting agenda last term, and it was replaced instead by a possible censure of the two most outspoken and effective school committee members, Mike Stein and Anat? A last sentence. I would feel joy if the mayor empowers the city council and school committee to transparently work for all of Northampton, all our children, all of our most vulnerable and disenfranchised residents, not for the elites, the developers, and the consultants. Thank you.
Okay. On Zoom, we have Renika. Let me just unmute you. Oh, I think, wait. Okay. Can you, I can't tell, Renika, if you can, looks, oh, good.
Yeah.
We got you. There we go.
All right, good.
Good. Welcome.
My name is Renika Montgomery Tamaklo. I live in Ward 3. I am the Ward 3 School Committee representative. My words are my own, and they are not representative of Ward 3 or the school committee. I am speaking tonight at tonight's City Council meeting to ask you to delay voting on the free cash appropriations. As we mentioned, Member Weisenfront and I sent an email to City Council earlier this week asking for this delay because we have put an agenda item on our February 12th agenda for a mid-year appropriation for funds for the schools. We know at the very least that we are going to need funds for additional hall monitors to deal with the ongoing bathroom issues at the high school, which we are hoping to resolve, and other staffing to address issues with missed services and staffing issues at all of the schools. So I am asking again that you all delay your voting on those free cash appropriations until after our February 12th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. In the room, we have Phil Wilson.
Hello, my name is Phil Wilson. I live in Northampton, Ward 1. I'd like to bring up that there are two important precedents that have just been established that I think are critical to how Northampton is governed. And one is an assertion by the police chief of Philadelphia. And what she said is that if ICE agents violate any laws, the Philadelphia Police Department will arrest and detain them. This is not a matter of the police just turning the other way or refusing to cooperate. It's very different. ICE is violating constitutional law. They're criminals. They're murderers. They're thugs. If if the Hells Angels rode into town and started mugging people, the police would take action. If ICE comes into town, it's absolutely an obligation of our mayor, our city council, and our police chief to understand that it's the duty of the Northampton Police Department to interrupt ICE in their criminal behavior. To not do this would be a violation of the Constitution. Another important precedent, I hope I have time for this, is that recently in district court here in Northampton, 4 defendants were acquitted of charges based on conducting civil disobedience at L3 Harris, and they were acquitted because they used the necessity defense, which states that a person can intervene in a harmful act if not intervening would cause more harm than intervening. Therefore, we have a precedent that when there's civil disobedience at L3 Harris, why should our police department intervene and stop people from engaging in civil disobedience? The
Thank you,
police
Phil.
are
Please finish your
obligated to leave people engaged in civil disobedience alone. If they're committing acts of violence, that's another matter.
Okay, thank you, Phil. Let's see, back to Zoom. I see, not quite, no. Yeah. On Zoom, we have Joella Jada Tarbutton Springfield. Let me unmute. For some reason, I don't know if it's my mouse. Can you unmute? Sure. I don't know if it's just there.
Oops.
No, I did that last time. I know. No, I think it's my mouse. I'm going to stop and you try. My mouse.
All right.
Oh, there you go.
We gotcha. Yay.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jada, in Ward 3 in Northampton. And I want to express my wholehearted and positive support for Rachel Maori as president of the Northampton City Council following her election at the January 2nd meeting. I've known Rachel for over 30 years and long before public office, title, or politics. We were undergraduates together at UMass Amherst, and we lived together briefly at the People's House on Graves Avenue. Even then, Rachel was remarkable. Then I arrived from Texas with a thick Southern accent and a deep drawl and very heavy protective shell shaped by growing up in the South amid deep racial and economic divisions. Many people struggle to understand me, literally and figuratively. Rachel never did. She met me with patience, curiosity, kindness, and a genuine yearning for connection and sisterhood. She understood where I came from and helped bridge that divide, not with judgment or the great white hope mindset, but with empathy, humility, and steadiness. What I know with certainty is this: the person Rachel was then is the same person she is now. Her heart is good, her integrity is real, her care for people is genuine and consistent. Rachel is the real deal. I love you, Rachel, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for who you were to me then and who you continue to be today. Northampton is well served by her leadership. Also, I would like to briefly share an observation from the December 18th, I think, City Council meeting. I come on YouTube because I'm usually in another meeting. When I first came in, I saw people with these symbols, the Q, and I was a little freaked out at first because, but later it became clear to me that the Q was intended for a particular support of a particular person, not for a reference to an extremist ideology. I was relieved by the clarification. Still, that moment stayed with me because it highlighted how charged and ambiguous symbolism can be, especially in civic spaces meant to feel safe, democratic, and inclusive. I share this reflection in the spirit of civil care. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Congratulations,
Thank you,
Rachel.
Joella Jada. Okay. In the room, let's see. In the room, we have Jennifer James. Saw her.
Hello. Welcome to everybody that's coming back and who's new. I'm here tonight because I recently, tonight, received the CPAC feedback on the high school schedule change. And I have requested that the CPAC leadership forward that to all of you. My comments are addressing the CPAC feedback about this change and also the speed of the change happening, really because you guys handle the purse strings. Your ability to support the high school is incredible. And as you may or may not know, every single student with an IEP at the high school is affected by the 4-block schedule, which is the current schedule. Students with an IEP who have to receive services have their civil rights violated daily because they do not have access to art or music or drama. They lose a whole year's worth of classes just because they receive services. So I have asked the CPAC leadership to forward you their feedback, and I'm going to read my comment on the feedback. So I support the CPAC feedback about this change. It's generally negative, and that's because this change is not going to restore the civil rights that our students need to have. It's going to give them another subpar option because the classes that are being offered are not going to be credit earned. And what that means is students will take the classes, but they will not receive credits that will give them the ability to graduate. Creating full inclusion based on the typical models in other districts should happen in Northampton this year. Northampton is an outlier.
Jenny, please finish your sentence.
Oh, I'm going to send this to all of you.
Yeah.
Please read that CPAC support us. This change is happening too fast.
Thank you, Jennifer. Let's see, back to Zoom. I see Melissa Makaborski. Let me see if I can unmute. Oh, okay, and let me see if I can turn your camera. Oh,
You got it?
I think so. Can you?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, it's Melissa Makaborski. I live in Northampton. Thank you, Jen James. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say welcome to everyone who is on the council for this term. And I have one request, and that is please keep people at the center of your work. Please fund our schools. Please fund our services. You know, when things feel really complicated, sometimes they're actually very simple. And the answers here are very simple. We can do this. And there are so many people around who are willing to help and offer advice if that's needed. But we can actually do this. And how wonderful would it feel if the injustice in Northampton ended and we could all get along? It'd be nice. I would love to see that. And to see people in our community actually getting what they need. It's a reality that is really possible for us. Let's do this, guys. Come on, please. All right, that's it. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's maybe more. In the room, we have Kayla Goldstein. Or Goldstein? Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you for checking.
Hello, my name is Kayla Goldstein. I live in Ward 4. I'm adding my voice to the others you've heard tonight calling for Northampton to reject L3 Harris, create a weapons ban ordinance, and invest in jobs and industries that support life instead of selling death machines and surveillance technology. We've all been watching, horrified, as U.S. government-sanctioned murders and kidnappings throughout the United States and around the globe are carried out. Maybe some of you were among the hundreds of people gathered in the center of town this weekend in public outcry against ICE and U.S. attacks and imperial intervention in Venezuela. But we have to do more than cry out. There is a company powering these unconscionable acts right here. As city officials, you know where your constituency stands on the crimes that the products of this company are made for. The last city council affirmed the city's values to end complicity with war profiteering by passing a resolution to divest from companies complicit in Israel's war crimes. Northampton is supposedly a nuclear-free city. L3Harris, by the way, is one of 12 primary contractors responsible for overseeing the entire nuclear weapons industry in the United States. We are calling on you to work with us to find innovative ways to make sure that what this city stands for is not contradicted by its exports. Blocking merchants of death and destruction is necessary. It is our obligation. And we know that those we are up against do not do things by the book. So please work with us to find any way possible to use your power as city council members and as citizens, even if it means paving new paths. That's what we want to do too. Passing a weapons ban ordinance is not just about L3Harris. The U.S. war machine is constantly trying to expand, as we see with imperialism in Venezuela and ISIS authoritarian activity on our streets. The Northeast U.S. is a huge hub of weapons production, and there are already other weapons companies in Northampton, elsewhere in Western Mass, and a ton near Hartford. Right now, there is nothing stopping other weapons companies from setting up shop in Northampton. A weapons ban could do that. The U.S. war machine only functions because we make it function, through our tax dollars, our labor, and our municipal governments allowing these companies to exist in communities just like ours across the country. We can and must resist our role in the war industry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I see Lena Rubin. I'm going to hopefully, oh, I did it that time. Welcome, Lena.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm in Ward 5 in Florence. And yeah, I'm just adding my voice to all the others who have urged you tonight to pass a weapons ban ordinance, as well as commit to finding other pathways to getting L3Harris out of our community. The Northampton Human Rights Commission in 2014 declared that this is a sanctuary city and claimed to protect this community's residents from anti-immigrant and anti-refugee sentiments. But how can this be when the city allows and gives tax breaks to L3Harris, which equips the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and ICE with the surveillance technologies that support their brutal mission of tracking, detaining, and deporting migrants? As we've seen over the past 2 weeks especially, ICE agents are a violent arm of state repression. If we allow L3Harris to continue unchecked in Northampton, we are directly complicit in funding this violence. Thank you so much for taking all this information into consideration and for all the work that you do. And am excited to continue this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Let's see. Okay. In the room, we have Heather Hutchinson.
Thank you all.
Welcome.
My name is Heather. I'm a resident of Leverett. I'm a procurement specialist, and not too long ago, I worked for a company invested in sourcing pieces and parts to build airplanes, commercial and military. When the Ukraine attacks began, it became clear who I was working for. The CEO shared his glee with the press about how the value of stocks and shares were climbing. It was well-paid work, great benefits, great people that were smart and really committed. But I and we were materially invested in a system of exploitation and violence. Our health insurance, our rent payments, our vacations, and our children's future all were invested in war, by the systems of war and the business of war. And so it was hard to leave a job, and it took me 8 months to find new work. NoHo has the opportunity and responsibility to invest in and develop ways for its residents and the larger community to become materially invested in the community, not war, not genocide, and not apartheid. I support any initiative to move a genocidal military company out of the Pioneer Valley. L3Harris must go if we are to create fiscally responsible, socially responsible, and environmentally sustainable businesses for residents to invest in and be invested in. A weapons ban ordinance is in order. Let's put the smart engineers, the procurement specialists, the chemists, and professionals that come to Northampton every day for work into doing things that are right. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Okay, on Zoom, I see Jillian Cannon. Let me just unmute you.
Gillian. Hello.
Yes, I don't have to. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much. My name's Gillian. Do you want to say your
Gillian,
name?
excuse me.
Shiloh. Shiloh, and this is Aster. We live in East Hampton. And we're here. Hey, let's listen. We're here to echo a lot of what has been said about supporting weapons ban ordinance in Northampton. I'm doing the best to share this with the 3-year-old. And really so much of what others have said, I just want to really kind of show and add my voice to that. Right here. Okay, we're gonna say one more thing. And just to echo the concept that we have a responsibility as people who live in a place where violent things are. Okay, I'll stop my turn. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Right about
Thank
3
you.
minutes. That's it.
Thank you. There was no more. Sorry, there is no more names, but if anyone else would like to speak in the room, oh, okay. Oh, let's see. Lots of people got up.
People signed up.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's not on the podium?
Somebody took it.
Yeah.
Somebody took it.
Somebody took it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, well, just raise your hand. It's fine. Yes, yeah, welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Welcome back to the city councilors who were here prior and the newly elected city councilors. This is a very important issue that I have spoken on before and never was addressed. This morning, or I should say this afternoon, pardon me, I was crossing again at the corner of King Street and North Street, where that is a blind corner across from the Cumberland Farms. This time, we had 2 police officers doing something over there, and one of them nearly got hit by a car from Vermont turning on the red light. I yelled to him, "Watch out, there's a turning car." There is no sign. We need a no turn on red, or at least some type of investigation. I'm wondering if someone needs to be killed on that corner before this happens. I mean, this was one of our police officers that nearly got hit. And that's pretty bad. And my other thing is I would request that the city council look into a weapons ban, as I know that L3 Harris is most likely a target because of the type of weapons they make. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, back on Zoom, we have, Ethan, hold on just a sec. Interesting. Huh. Well, just bear with me 1 minute. I have to refresh the.
You're trying to do Kristen?
Yeah, see, look how mine disappeared. Is it Kristen Elding is next? Oh, I'm sorry, Ethan. Welcome, Ethan. Where did it go?
Hi, thank you. I'm Ethan. I live in Amherst. I want to repeat the call for Northampton to pass a weapons ban ordinance and to commit to finding a way to shut down L3 Harris. This is a no-brainer. L3 and weapons manufacturers like them exist for one purpose: to make incredible sums of money by making tools used to surveil people and kill people. That's it. They don't produce anything else. They offer no redeeming value. Mass surveillance and mass killing are their only contributions to society. They are the military-industrial complex. They are the war profiteers. They are literally merchants of death and repression. We cannot meaningfully claim to oppose the military industry, ICE terrorism, or the U.S. empire's bloody crimes, whether in Palestine, Venezuela, Lebanon, Los Angeles, or Minneapolis, without making every possible effort to block them from setting up shop in our backyard and making business untenable for the ones that are already there. This will be difficult and take a long time. We will celebrate small victories and keep working. Please pass a weapons ban ordinance to set an example for other communities who wish to keep these bleak institutions out of their towns and commit to finding creative ways to make life difficult for L3 Harris. Thank you.
Thank you. In the room, were there others? I think Deb, Deb, have you been waiting, Deb? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, we lost our list, so why don't you go? But I saw another hand will come back.
And
Yeah.
there's a hand over here, too.
Okay, great.
Several hands.
Okay.
Good evening, and welcome to the new members of council and to the returning members. I hope it's a great year. I'm an optimist. I wanted to share a letter that I have submitted to the city council and to the mayor, and I would like to ask that the attachments, which I can't really share here because it's too long, would be put in the public file cabinet or somehow accessible to the other people if they want to look. So my letter. Dear City Council President and members, I am writing to present a proposal for increased transparency and public involvement in the budgeting process for this year. As we all recognize, this previous election reflected the public's dissatisfaction with the budget process. Many called for greater taxpayer input in that process, as well as an impassioned plea for our representatives to listen to the voices, values, and priorities of the community. I am optimistic that the mayor will be more willing to collaborate this year, given her near loss in the November election. Toward that end, I have been researching other cities with strong mayor charters to see how the mayor and city council there manage to govern. The example I present to you, attached, but not here, is Somerville, Mass., a city of 81,000 residents, making it about 3 times larger than Northampton. Although the size is larger, the political tension demonstrated there over the past couple years is a mirror of our recent experience here, as the attached information shows. I am hopeful that we can learn from other communities that have also struggled with school funding dilemmas, as well as power tension between the mayor and council to improve our city's governance. Specifically, I'm asking the council as a whole, and the Finance Committee in particular, to host 1 or more public meetings early in this budget season so that taxpayers can weigh in on the proposed capital improvements now while they are under consideration, rather than merely in June when the mayor presents her budget. If our mayor truly wants to become more transparent...
That's time, Deb, if you could just finish.
Okay, let me just do the 3 things. I'm hoping that she will agree to present this following information to the council and encourage public discussion. Capital improvements by department heads in order of priority, plans for increasing operating services, schools, roads, and sidewalks, financial disclosures, and construction updates regarding Picture Main Street and the Hub. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deb. Okay. Back on Zoom, I see Kristen. Let me see if I can unmute. Okay, it's working. It has to start video. Okay. All right, Kristen, welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks. Kristen LD, Ward 7, Northampton. Welcome to all the new counselors, as well as the returning ones. I'm here to comment briefly on 2 things. 1, the latest bolus of free cash, which I urge the council to delay moving into any stabilization funds until the school committee has met to discuss unmet MPS needs and review all operating and capital needs. And 2, our city's charter, which I urge the council to review this year, so before the next scheduled review date of 2029. I understand that this is indeed an option, and I, along with many other members of the public, feel it's an important step you can take toward, for one, changing the distribution of power among our city's officials. In short, our mayor should not have the concentration of power that she currently has. City councilors should have more of it than they presently do, as should members of our school committee. The current power imbalance is inconsistent with Northampton's express commitment to equity, and taking up a comprehensive review of our city's charter offers a chance to change this sooner than later. Thank you. Oh, and also yes on a weapons ban ordinance.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay, yeah, there's, who else in the room is ready? Yes, come on up, welcome.
Hi, My name is Ella Carlson. I'm a resident of Ward 3. Nice to meet you, Councilor Loisel, and all the new councilors. I was really thrilled last session when the council passed a divestment resolution, and I hope that this council will encourage Mayor Chiara to implement it with executive policy. And I'm also here to urge you to take the next step to continue to align our city's values with our city's operations. And in my view, that would be to pass a weapons ban as well. L3 Harris is on the divestment list. And it's this presence of this dangerous company in our city that brings me here, but it's also not just about L3 or whether or not we can get rid of a company that's already established here. It's also about the fact that right now there's nothing stopping more weapons companies from coming and setting up shop here, and we need to change that. So I really hope that this council will step up to, as all the other folks in the room have said, do our part to resist the U.S. government war machine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ella. Okay, I see Eve Glazier on Zoom. Eve, let me unmute you. Oh, yep, we did it. Oh, yeah,
Great.
you're all set.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Eve Glazier. I live in Northampton in Ward 3. It's really nice to see all of the new and returning counselors. And just to reiterate something that Ella said, I was really pleased to help work on getting the resolution passed last term to divest from companies supporting human rights abuses in Palestine. And L3 Harris is on that list of companies that we agreed to divest from. And we agreed this unanimously with resounding public support. Of course, we don't actually have financial investments in L3 Harris in the narrow sense, but it does mean that our city just agreed that L3 Harris and all of the atrocities it's committing are squarely against our values. So I'm really excited in this next term to continue thinking creatively about how we can stop L3 Harris. And it really is a serious matter. I hear often like, oh, it's just periscopes. They just make periscopes. And when I heard this at first, I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty benign. It's not really the worst of the worst. But then you trace it a little further and you see, okay, but these periscopes go on naval submarines. And what do naval submarines carry? Nuclear weapons. And in fact, 70% of the nuclear arsenal is carried through naval submarines. So this is really a very serious matter of life and death. The products that L3 Harris is making right here in Northampton are fueling our nuclear capacity. And I'm really concerned by this. And I hope you all are too. So thank you so much for allowing us to speak. And I look forward to continuing this conversation.
Thank you, Eve. Okay. Yes, if Ace, come on up. Welcome.
That's a Ward 3 hat trick. Ace Taylor, Ward 3, Northampton, attempting to contain my jealousy at being on this side of the podium instead of that side. I want to echo my support for a weapons manufacturer ban. I would also like to echo what Luke Rotello said about what we want to do going forward and going for the future. And I would like to add something to your plate, a request to ban qualified immunity. For those not in the know, this is basically a legal precedent for folks like the police and like ICE that says if you do something that someone would otherwise want to sue you for, if a person in the past was found not guilty of it, you can't even bring a case, which prevents and stifles a lot of legal ways of stopping people from having massive abuses of power. Currently, Senator Ed Markey and Representative Ayanna Pressley are pushing for this at the federal level. Now, we all know with the current state of the federal level, this is unlikely to go very far. However, I think it is worthwhile for Northampton to push for it, at the very least speak in support, look into banning qualified immunity locally, and to look into banning qualified immunity statewide in as much as we are able to make a change here first to push for change elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Ace. no more hands on Zoom. Is there any? Yeah, come on up. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm from Ward 3. I'm over by the community park. If you guys are over there, my social security number is not just kidding. Yeah, I'm here just to support the weapons ban and getting L3 Harris out of here, and also preparing for ICE and for fascism rolling through Northampton. And I just have a few questions for y'all. Like, what happens when ICE shows up? What happens when ICE starts using L3 Harris as a staging place to like start messing with the entire community? Do the police protect private property, or are we actually going to do something about it? What happens when Trump cuts off all the federal funding to the blue states? Like, what happens? What's the plan? I mean, I hope you all have a better plan than just like nodding along and, whatever. So, I mean, I'm not saying you're doing that, but like, I hope you have a better plan than that. I have some suggestions. I think that we should increase everyone's knowledge of all their rights, their civil and their criminal rights. And I think we should also promote a lot more community, strengthening. I mean, just have a bunch of block parties. I know all my neighbors from when I'm growing up from block parties. I don't know any of my neighbors now. So I think you guys should promote that. And I'm going to end this by saying a quote from Benito Mussolini, actually. Fascism should actually be called corporatism because it's the merger between corporate and state power. Don't be the state side of that.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Anyone in the room that would like to make a comment? Okay, I think we can end public comment then. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and sharing your thoughts. I would like to take a 10-minute recess. So let's try to be back around 7:45. Okay, welcome to the Northampton City Council. We're up to announcements from councilors and the mayor. Councilors, any announcements, any organizing meeting dates, anything like that? Vice President Clemmer.
Thank you, President Amiori. This coming Wednesday, I think it's the 20th, at 5 o'clock, there will be a finance meeting. It'll be an organizational meeting, and I'm assuming we'll have some things referred on Wednesday. So it's going to be hybrid, so in council chambers and on Zoom. So hope to see people there.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the date?
Yeah.
Wednesday, I'm sorry, I think is it the 20th? Oh, look.
20th.
Thank you.
21st.
Wednesday, the 21st at 5 o'clock in chambers and Zoom, hybrid.
Okay. Yes, Councilor Perry.
Yeah. So in that vein, the Community Resources is having their organizational meeting Monday, January 26th. So we'll elect chair and vice chair and all of that fun stuff. And it's going to be via Zoom for that first organizational meeting. Normally we would have had it next week, but it's Martin Luther King Day. Which brings me to we should celebrate. Bombix is having a lovely event for Martin Luther King Day that way, and as well, not an MLK event, but the 31st is the Ice Arts Festival here in Northampton. So I suggest folks go and check that out. It's just an amazing gathering of different artists. Please support local businesses. A lot of places are having special, ice arts featured drinks and sort of things. So do that.
Excellent. Councilor Robbins.
A couple things. There is another event in the effort towards the transparency that we heard tonight and sharing. I'll be holding an open What's on Your Mind session at Bombix on February 4th. That starts at 5:45 for pizza, 6:30 for come in, tell us what's on your mind, work with folks who share similar concerns or have good ideas, and should be a good start to creating community and thinking about how we work best as a community. Additionally, an appeal. I think a lot of us went to the rally the other day, and we heard Representative Sabadosa ask us to please write to her, write to your legislator. She needs a bunch of people writing in to say that you support the Safe Communities, the Immigrant Legal Defense Act, and the Dignity Not Deportations Act. And it really does matter. She just needs a pile of them. She needs people on her phone saying, please pass these through. And those are to support our most vulnerable immigrants in the state. Thanks.
Thank you. I think, yes, Councilor Dobbs.
Thanks. I wanted to mention that City Services organizational meeting is going to be on Monday, February 2nd. I was happy to be reappointed to that committee, which I was on last term. And I'm also happy to be reappointed to the Disability Commission for my 7th year on the commission, which is pretty exciting for me. And so those meetings are on the second Tuesday of every month. If anybody wants to come, we talk about important issues related to disabled people and accessibility in Northampton. And I'm also happy to be appointed to the Transportation and Parking Commission. So looking forward to that too. Thanks.
Thanks. Any more? Yes. Any more councilors? Okay, Mayor.
Good evening, councilors. Welcome to the new councilors. Councilor Perry, did you just did ice art?
I did.
Okay,
But if you want to expand.
No, just Saturday, January 31st. I will talk about the Silver Cord Bowl, which is February 8th. That's a Sunday. It's at John M. Green Hall. And it's at 2 p.m. Doors open at 1:30. So this is now in its 42nd year. The Silver Cord Bowl brings together the region's finest a cappella talent for an afternoon of fun. This year's showcase features Yale's Cadence and the Smith Vibes, and as always, a special opening by the Northamptons, and they're with 5 more collegiate ensembles as well. But I will tell you, having now been one of the hosts of the Silver Cord Bowl for 4 years, the Northamptons are always, I think, the very best a cappella group, and do more than hold their own against the collegiate ones. I think they surpass them. So it is hosted by Steve Sanderson of WRSI The River, along with myself, and the Smith president, Sarah Willie LeBreton. So to get tickets, go to northamptonartscouncil.org, and there's more info there as well. And another Arts Council event, Kids Best Fest, which happens during February break. So it's a week-long celebration of cinema for kids and their grown-ups, and it goes from February 16th to February 20th at the Academy of Music, and every movie is free. So the first movie is Monday, February 16th. It's Lilo and Stitch. No need for tickets because they're all free, but you can check out the lineup at northamptonartscouncil.org and find out the times.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, any other announcements? Okay, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Because it's our first meeting, I'm just going to read the rules that are listed there, which are rules 4.44. There shall be no debate or discussion by any city council member regarding any item on the consent agenda beyond asking questions for simple clarification. And 4.45, any item may be removed from the consent agenda upon the request of any city council member prior to the taking of a vote on the motion to approve it. All such items will be considered individually in the order in which they were removed immediately following the consideration of the consent agenda. So I'm going to read the consent agenda, and then I will ask about any removals before we vote on an approval. Minutes of the special city council meeting, December 9th, 2025, and regular meeting, December 18th, 2025. 26.008, appointment of Attorney Alan Seawald as city solicitor for referral to city services. I think that's it. It's the shortest one ever. Any removals? Yes, Councilor.
Question.
Yes.
Since we weren't here on the council,
Yeah.
are we allowed to vote on the minutes?
You are. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And by the way, they were impressive.
Yes. 23. Yes.
I must unfortunately ask my colleagues' forbearance to remove both items from the consent agenda.
Okay. Remove. Okay. So we'll just take them in the order they are. Okay. So, so let's start with the minutes. Did you have? Yes, Councilor.
Yes, I mean, I really appreciate the work of our clerk in typing these up, particularly the second set of minutes from the 18th, and that was a marathon meeting. And it started beautifully. It had its less pleasant moments towards the end. I thought there was some really key technical information in the middle from Director Lascalia, and I think maybe that could be a little bit better represented in the minutes. These also were not, out on public view. So I am inclined to move that we postpone the minutes of the 18th until our next meeting. But I'm perfectly willing to approve the minutes of the 9th tonight.
Okay, so that's a motion to.
I guess I'm moving that we postpone consideration of the meeting, that we separate this item and postpone consideration of the minutes of the 18th.
I'd second that.
Okay, so we have a second. We have the motion on the floor. Any discussion? Yes, Councilor Davis.
I would, and you'll tell me if this doesn't constitute
course, yeah.
discussion. It's a question, I think, about, would you be able to clarify what details from Director Lascalia, like how would our clerk know what to add or subtract or elaborate upon?
Well, we're in an interesting situation of transition right now where we take minutes manually, and it is, this is an impressive amount of work, and I do not mean this as a criticism in the slightest, but, we also have video and audio recording, and there are things that, while I was sitting in the audience not that long ago, I thought were very important that I'm not seeing in the minutes. I was trying to find them in the video, but I didn't find them this afternoon, and I also want to make sure that I'm not sending Laura on a wild goose chase for something that was, say, actually in a TPC meeting, not that meeting. So I would like a chance to, figure out what I was looking for a little bit more and provide a more detailed proposal.
Okay, thank you. Councilors, any other discussion, questions? Yes, Councilor.
I'll just say why I seconded it is that I feel the same way that Laura did such great work, but the meetings, the one that we're postponing was massive. And I skimmed through things, but I did not get a chance to really, with a fine tooth comb, look at it. And it is our last meeting, so I just want to give it its due diligence.
Okay, yes, Counselor Robbins.
And I wonder if it would be helpful in minutes that are very technical, where there's a proposal that actually has, it has specifics about a project, or it actually has costs and specifics about expenditures. Is it possible to ask the person who's submitting that item to the agenda to also include just a little visual chart, that makes it very simple to see and remember, because that gives us a reference to go back to. So if, for example, if there's a chart saying, we have this proposal for this project, and the money's going to come from here, and it's going to go to here, and this is how much it's going to cost to implement it, and this is kind of the rollout of it. It's kind of buried in the narrative, and it's fine and it's accurate, but it's hard to sort of capture when you go back to look at it visually. And it's helpful too, I think, as counselors to be able to say, hey, we just can grab this snapshot of what it is, and folks can look at it and understand it, just for transparency.
I'm going to ask a clarification. Are you talking about like a department head, or are you talking about?
Yeah, I think if department heads are coming to us and explaining something that's pretty complex, and sometimes they have it when they do it in the, they're showing it to us up here and we're seeing it as we go through it, but would it be helpful for Laura just to have accompanying in that, here's a piece of paper, or here's something that we're submitting that has that little cost breakdown or the project diameters breakdown that's in it?
Yeah.
Laura,
Yes,
A lot
yeah.
of times there are those
Yeah.
types of documents,
Yeah.
and like for like the geothermal project, there was a PowerPoint presentation.
Microphone.
For the geothermal project at the high school, there was a, PowerPoint presentation, and those are always listed when there is something like that that's presented in an attachment to the minutes, and then they're kept separately. So a lot of times
Yeah.
I do, when there's I didn't have anything for the roadway presentation, and actually I think Director LaScalia may actually have had a presentation.
So
I could
what I'm thinking
request.
about is actually pulling those little pieces out that are specifically germane to our job, which is to think about where is the money coming from to do this? Where is it going to? What's left? What's, those little bits of it. And I heard that presentation 3 times to 3 different audiences for on the geothermal, for example. And I heard different things each time. And I think finally, when we actually do pass something, it's really important for us to have a very clear chart about what we passed visually on a very complex project like that. So it's a lot of money. It's coming from different places. We need to know what the long-term stuff is, and we need to be able to refer back to it. It would be great to have it embedded in the narrative. And it would be easier for you, I think, rather than having to just write it all out about what those pieces are, because it's pretty visually self-explanatory. I'd be happy to give you an example of it, if that would help. Yeah.
Yeah. Counselor Stratton.
So I think, what my colleague, Councilor Robbins, is speaking to some things that are very important to me in terms of, information that is presented in a city meeting, whether it's a PowerPoint slide, whether it's a report, whether it's, a document or something, and how we put those more routinely on display to the public is a topic I really hope that we will be talking about in the near future. I'm wondering if we're maybe overloading the concept of the minutes a little bit with this, but it is something that I really very much hope we'll find a time to talk about. I think my concern with this particular set was a few of the key verbal comments. And again, I need to make sure they were actually this meeting and not misremembering a different one. But, I'm very supportive of the concept, and I hope we talk more about making things more routinely available to the people out there. Because, hey, just a month ago, I was sitting out there and browsing on my computer. And I really, we have a government that produces a lot of information, and we make decisions based on that. And, our people should be able to see that too and write to us with detailed concerns.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to go to Vice President Clemmer and then Counselor Loisel. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, a lot, those, what I do to send information out to my constituents is I go to YouTube, and you can queue it up so it starts right at the presentation. So all the presentations that department heads give us are on YouTube, and I send it out that way, if that's helpful for anybody. And then a lot of the links too are on the agenda to that you also use to send out to people.
Okay, and Councilor Loisel.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think Laura could give a master class in how to take minutes. I was just really impressed, and I feel like people can watch the city council meeting. And so I wouldn't be inclined to send minutes back.
Okay. So I'm just going to say that, you know, well, first of all, you can follow up with department heads to have information presented in a certain way. I don't have a problem with waiting to approve these minutes. I wouldn't want every time for us to have to postpone that because it actually will get confusing and they'll build up. But if the council needs more time this time, but I do think we need to follow up, not in this, we can follow up with Laura or to understand a little bit more precisely what the ask may be, because there's other ways to get that information, but I also hear what you're saying. So I'm fine with supporting this tonight. But I would like to see some sort of, understanding reached around what we expect for minutes so that, we don't have to postpone them each time.
But so we're going to vote on this, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm just weighing in.
Okay.
Anyone? Yes, Councilor Lombard.
Yes, sure. So I think we can, I'm happy with approving the December 9th minutes and also allowing a little more time for December 18th. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, if there's no more comments, we can, so the motion on the floor is.
Just to separate them and table the second half. Table the
Okay,
8th.
so the motion on the
postpone
floor is to approve the 12,
I can
12-9.
withdraw the previous motion, and we can do that instead, but that's actually not the motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat?
It was to separate them and postpone the consideration of the 18th until our next meeting.
Okay, so that's the motion. We have a second. Is everyone clear? So we can vote. Okay.
So we can't vote on them separately.
We're getting so that we can.
I think it was the motion was to separate them and just postpone the one. So that's the motion.
I'm willing to withdraw that in favor of another procedure.
No, I think that does work. Yes.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
It's one vote, and the first one, the December 9th, we're voting to approve.
Mm-hmm.
And the December 18th, we're
wait,
voting
that's-
to.
Wait, hold on. Let her finish. Yeah, let me just.
Yeah, could you raise your hand if you have something to say?
Okay.
So the December 9th, we're putting on the floor to approve them, vote on them for tonight, and then December 18th, we're postponing till our next meeting.
Yes, that was my
Point of order,
understanding
that
of the
is not the
motion.
motion on the floor.
Okay. Okay, so Counselor, you want to just separate them, not necessarily approve.
I was envisioning a two-step process. I made a motion
Okay.
for what I saw as the first step, which was to separate them and postpone the second half, and then we would vote on December 9th. I'm willing to withdraw that in favor of some other procedure, but I was just.
Okay, why don't we?
Her suggestion can be accepted as a friendly amendment, too.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thanks. Yeah. So that's a good learning moment. So friendly amendments you can do on the floor. They're friendly, so they're considered just, you don't have to do a new motion. Does the motion maker accept that friendly amendment that we would be approving December 9th and voting on whether to approve December 9th and postpone the December 18th minutes?
As a single vote? Sure. Yes, I accept.
Okay. Okay, so that's what's on the floor. Do we have to make it? We don't have to remake the motion.
No,
Yeah,
just
okay.
the second has to.
I will
Oh,
accept that
right, the
friendly.
second needs to approve. I knew there was some other thing that had to happen. Okay, so now we have that motion, and we can do a voice vote. So all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, or any abstentions? Okay, so that passes, and the 12-18 minutes will be at our next meeting for approval. Okay, now, Counselor, the other one you removed was the appointment, the referral to city services 26.008 for the appointment of Attorney Alan Seawald. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I mean, this is basically straightforward procedure, but I think it hints at a larger discussion that we've seen hints of tonight in various ways. So just before we do this, I want to say for the record that I'm very interested in discussing the idea that the council should perhaps have its own attorney. I mean, to some degree, the city solicitor is the mayor's attorney, and sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. I also think that there's a very large role for legal voices from the community. I mean, we've had proposals brought to us that currently the only legal advice we have says we can't do. You know, one person's advice is one person's advice, but when that is the only legal qualified voice we've yet heard, you know, it's challenging to proceed. So, you know, I see ultimately a role for three different kinds of legal input to the city. I mean, the city solicitor, a council attorney, and also voices for the community. That said, you know, I think the referral to city services is about evaluating this candidate for this role, and I don't want to, you know, burden that with this other topic, but I think this other topic is something that we do need to be talking about in the future.
Yes, Counselor Robbins.
Can you clarify, when something comes to us that's already referred to city services, I guess I was under the impression that the council makes referrals to committees. So I'm a little confused about it coming outside the council.
Yes.
That's correct. It's just put on the agenda for referral
For-
to city services.
well, that's what we're-
As opposed to for approval, you know, based on a positive recommendation, just to clarify that it's just coming for the first time and that's.
Okay.
So yeah, the council
Right.
definitely.
And then also to add to it, that the letter that we got was, from the mayor was dated for the 22nd, and we would need to have that updated to the 26th, I think. There's an accompanying letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, in addition, we did not receive a resume.
Right, I mean,
So if it goes to city services, it would have that updated letter about the referral with the correct date in it.
No, what,
It's on the attachment. So the
Yeah.
attachment that we received said, I am referring, I appointed on 2022 and,
yeah.
oh, then
Yeah.
you know what?
I
It
know,
was-
I just
it's
at
a typo.
Scrivener's,
Okay,
yeah.
got, you know what, I
Um,
thought I'd updated it, because we already
Don't worry
discovered
about
that.
it. Just make, just
Yes,
checking.
no, thank you
Yeah.
for
And that
eagle
we'd also,
eye.
we would also need an up-to-date resume, yeah.
I'm not clear if the resume is what, or we.
There actually is a resume
Okay.
that I was just going to forward separately, and I didn't get around to doing that yet.
That's
so-
okay.
You were typing all day long.
Yeah, right, yeah. So right now, yeah, so the conversation is about a referral, and then it would go to the subcommittee. There would be a more substantive discussion there, and then it would come back to council, and we would have a more substantive discussion before we voted. Yeah. Yes, okay, so there's a motion on the floor.
Motion to refer, sorry.
No,
Second.
no, refer.
My microphone was off.
Okay, and I turned yours on, just so you know. So we have a motion to refer by Counselor Nabad and a second from Counselor Stratton to refer 26.008 to city services. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, we can do a voice vote for that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. So that passes. That will go to, be referred to city services, and the supporting documents will be updated. Okay, so that's, we still need to approve the rest of the consent agenda, right? No. Oh, right, there's only two. That's the shortest, is that the shortest consent agenda we've ever had? Oh, wow, that's impressive. Okay, so now we're moving on to financial orders on first reading, so that we're not voting. I'm just going to read this tonight. Process, the financial orders will be introduced and discussed at a full city council meeting and referred to either the consent agenda or of a future meeting or the finance committee for more public input, discussion, and recommendation. Council Robbins.
Can I make a motion, please, to refer 26003 and 26004 to finance?
Yeah. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Was there another? Okay, that's okay. I may go for my Jeopardy buzzer idea this term, just for excitement. So the second was Counselor Dubs. Okay. Right. So just a point for, am I supposed to read them all, even if the motion was made? Read them in their full?
Oh, it's not required.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but just want to make sure. Okay. So okay, any discussion on referral of 26.003, 26.004 to the Finance Committee?
Did you want to have a presentation or this initial introduction?
Yeah, well, right, yes.
We can wait and do it at the Finance Committee.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You're going to do it, do you usually do it 3 times? Like, because Mayor, would you usually do it at the subcommittee and then back at full council, or you do it?
it sort of depended. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, previously it was all done in council, but
So not at the.
we don't
We would do it twice.
twice. And then
So.
when it came back for a vote, I mean,
So full
we'd
council.
be available,
both
but it
times.
wouldn't necessarily.
Okay, yes. Any objection to that? So when something's referred, we usually have a brief kind of discussion or presentation, and then when it's referred, a lot of times we do that so that we can decide where to refer to, but also we'll also obviously have the discussion if it goes to finance and also back in full council before we vote. Yes, Mayor Director Nardi, welcome. If you'd like to.
So yes to?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's, I think that's, sounds good. Thank you.
I need a copy. Can I share my screen?
Yes, yeah.
I do have it. I just wanted to.
Okay, yeah. You have both, yeah, you do it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so councilors, these are the free cash orders that are brought to the council every year after free cash is certified by the Department of Revenue, which usually happens in December or January. And as we did last year, we have a slide document, which will also be available on the city website tomorrow. So we'll start with talking about why free cash is important or necessary. And I'm just gonna, I know it's a lot of reading. I'm gonna go through this slide, and then again, this document's gonna be available, so this is something that you can always refer back to if you'd like. So, cautious budgeting of revenue projections minimizes the risk of deficits which would force abrupt cuts or depletion of reserves, and it ensures that we continue to absorb cost increases in future years. So revenues received over projections also help fund reserve accounts and support capital infrastructure improvements. So reserves, such as stabilization funds, are necessary in the event of emergency, unexpected expenses, which our general stabilization covers, capital projects, which is our capital and climate mitigation stabilization funds, and to reduce the pressure of special education expenses on the NPS, Northampton Public Schools budget, which the NPS Special Education Stabilization Fund covers. Around 2012, we were down to almost zero in reserves in any of our reserves or stabilization funds. And so we really couldn't do long-range planning, budgeting. School funding was very unstable and would have small increases, and then sometimes was in the negative and then would bounce back up, and was kind of this roller coaster of percent increases every year, which made it very hard. And there was a lot of deferred maintenance on all of our capital projects, things that piled up for many, many years, many things that we are still talking about all the time, and we have been trying to work on. So generally, reserves should not be used for recurring expenses, such as the yearly operational budget, except in the case of the Fiscal Stability Stabilization Fund, which is intentionally created for this purpose here in Northampton. When we use the Fiscal Stability Stabilization Fund transfers to support recurring expenses, which we have done for the last 3 years for a total of about $5 million to support the operating budget, we can only sustain those higher levels of spending if voters agree to support periodic overrides. So when revenue projections are pushed upwards, you can produce more upfront revenue, for the operational budget, but the trade-off is less free cash to support reserves and capital projects. So in FY26, current fiscal year, we have significantly pushed revenues. And the risk is if you go too far with your estimates, you can create a budget deficit. Pushing revenue projections and using reserves for operational needs and recurring, meaning recurring expenses, will lead to a deficit. So the city follows best practices by using revenues for ongoing operations and reserves for one-time and emergency expenses. We'll talk a little bit about these best practices. So the city follows the best practices by using revenues for ongoing operations and reserves for one-time and emergency expenses, and has financial policies following the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, DOR, and the Massachusetts Government Financial Officers Association guidelines for municipal finance. The Division of Local Services, there's a lot of acronyms, it'll take a while, which is DLS, is a division of DOR, the Department of Revenue, states that, quote, as a non-recurring revenue source, free cash should be restricted to paying one-time expenditures, funding capital projects, or replenishing other reserves, end quote. Excuse me. Though we generally get some amount of free cash every year, it's a byproduct of many fluctuating revenue sources. And DLS defines free cash as a, quote, non-recurring source, whereas a, quote, recurring source is by its nature can be relied on at some level in future years. Again, I just want to encourage counselors to spend some time on the DLS site. So there's actually an amazing amount of resources that, so this is part of the mass.gov site, and if you just put in DOR and DLS, you will come up with many pages. It has tons of best practices. It has trainings you can take on municipal finance. You can get very sort of lost in page after page of information about how municipal budgeting works, how recommendations for how communities can handle things. Be careful to make sure that you're looking at things for cities, because how cities handle things are different than how towns handle things in some ways. So there's just a lot of information there. And I really, I remember being a counselor myself. There's not a lot of training opportunities that you get. There's actually a lot more on school committee. But there are actually a lot of resources that you can use that the state provides. It just takes some initiative on your own. Okay, moving on. So back to free cash. Again, the free cash is possibly the worst state-named thing that exists. So free cash is generated from three sources. It is unspent funds from the prior year's certified free cash. So the free cash from the year before that was not spent, that gets carried over. And revenues that come in above projections. So what we had budgeted for revenues, anything that's coming in above what had been budgeted and projected. And then the third, excuse me again, are unspent amounts in departmental budgets. So what's remaining in departments. Okay. So the revenues contributing to free cash. The FY 2025 revenues over projections were generated $5.8 million, or 92.5% of the total certified free cash comes from revenues over projections. Now, those revenues we're breaking into these two categories here. So the first one is revenues that exclude interest on investments, which we'll talk about separately. Those represent $3.186 million. And contributors to that are things like the motor vehicle excise, hotel motel, meals, cannabis, ambulance revenue. This amount is 54.4% of the excess revenue and 50.3% of the total certified free cash. But I'm going to note that in FY26, so again, the current fiscal year that we're in, we are using an additional $1 million of this revenue to support the operating budget. So we have pushed those revenues to get more money into the operating budget. So some of this excess that you see here has been built into the current fiscal year's budget. Next is that high interest on investment, which represents $2.67 million. and this equals 45.6% of the excess revenue and 42.2% of the total certified free cash. And again, in this current fiscal year, we are using an additional $1.9 million of this revenue to support the operating budget. So a little bit more on this interest on investments. Why did it increase? There had been kind of a big increase that happened in '23, and what are the risks around it? So in mid FY23, in an effort to take advantage of increased interest rates, our treasurer collector identified a higher interest banking vehicle for municipal and commercial entities called a SOFR account. And to get in the weeds a little bit, provides 90% of the secured overnight financial rate. SOFR, that's what it stands for. And that resulted in an average interest rate of 4.85% in fiscal year 24, and then 4.23% in fiscal year 25. And then in the current fiscal year, we're at 3.79% for this year, July to December. And so this revenue source had very much increased in 23 when we started using this new kind of account, let's say. So before that, the city has never really relied on this revenue source for the operating budget because interest revenue is considered a very unreliable source. It also was a very small source for us for a very long time. But it's dependent on variable factors, which we all hear about and all experience in our lives. And including the current interest rate, the current president is having a epic battle with the Fed chair over this and has been for a while. And it also matters how much is in the account, so how much is actually getting interest is being paid on. So the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates 6 times since September 2024. And so the interest rate in the SOFR amount dropped from when we first entered sort of SOFR. It was 4.92%, and from in June 2024, and then presently it's down to 3.73%. So it has dropped, in a year and a half, it has dropped over 1%. Okay, next. So this just shows you a 20-year history of investment income for the city, and kind of illustrates what I was just saying, that it is a varying amount. You can see for a very long time it was a very small amount. And then if you look at, well, let's first look at FY23. You see it kind of jumps up. So that's where halfway through the year we started using that SOFR account. But then if you go a year earlier in FY22, something else I want to point out is that blue bar on top of the orange bar is when the city began receiving ARPA funds. So those are the federal recovery funds from the pandemic. And so we started getting some funds in FY22 and then in 23 and 24. And so those funds have now, they've all been fully allocated, and you can see they're getting spent down. So they have to, legally by ARPA, have to be fully expended by December 2026. And so that's why you can see that the interest that we are earning on that money is diminishing as the money is being spent. And so there's just a tiny bit there in FY26 that you can still see. And again, that has to all be expended by December 26. So this year, this calendar year.
Question on that? The FY26, I mean, that was only 5 months out of a year, right?
Yes.
So that I multiply that out in my head and I see like 2.2 million or something if current trends continued.
For the interest income.
For FY26, yes.
Yes, although.
I mean, so that drop in the graph is because we're only looking at 5 months of a year.
Oh, yeah.
There will be a drop, but it might be a drop to 2 million or 2.2 million.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's not a full year. That's half a year. Okay, next is, so that was interest income, that previous one. This is back to the full free cash. So this is the composition of full free cash over 22 years. So this shows, that free cash has fluctuated. You can see after the recession, it had dipped down for a long time, and then it sort of had started to build up. Around the pandemic, it had grown. of course, there's the ARPA, which you can see there in orange. Additionally, around the pandemic, a lot of, communities everywhere experienced this. Things slowed down and a lot of projects didn't happen. So money didn't sort of move through. So there was sort of an increase in it, and now you can see that it is starting to decrease.
Excuse me, Mayor, I think Councilor Robbins, I don't know if you have a time-sensitive question? Oh, was your hand up for a while? Did you, your hand's up? Yeah, I thought maybe you had a question. Oh, never mind, continue.
Okay.
Okay.
Next slide is just free cash without ARPA. So you can see sort of how it's changed and how it's been coming down from sort of that peak at 24, and then it's okay. I think you skipped one. Yeah, there you go. And then it's coming down. So, okay, next one is, so you'll see at the joint meeting, that we're having on the 29th, you'll see there's a section where we use local communities, Western Mass communities, as comparison communities. And that's something that's been done for many, many years. I mean, since before I was a counselor. So certainly at least 12, 14 years. I actually have no idea when it started. We could figure that out if it was important to people. But these communities had been chosen as good sort of local comparisons. And it's helpful that actually we have been using these same communities over so much time, because we can always go back and see how the different things that we're comparing change. So using these same baseline communities, except you'll see in that asterisk at the top, there are 5 who have not actually had their free cash certified. So it's usually a longer list of comparison communities, but they have not had their stuff finished by DOR. These are the ones that are available. So you can see this is where we rank among these in terms of certified free cash. But then the next slide is actually, I think, more helpful because, as you may know, these communities are all different sizes. So, they are different. They have different size budgets. They have very different populations. We are, I would say, and we have the same population, I think, as West Springfield, and close to the same budget. Their budget's, I think, about $4 million larger. But this is a way to do more of like an apples to apples comparison by using percent of general fund. So I should note that also DLS has a recommendation that a municipality should generate 5 to 7% free cash, 5 to 7% of their general fund as free cash. That is their sort of best practice recommendation. We are not. We are below that. We have had, our policy has been 3 to 5%. We have not updated that policy to match DLS when they've changed it. We've kept it at 3 to 5%, and we are a little bit shy of 5%. But you can see that we are at the low end. Again, we don't know what those other 5 communities are right now, but we are at the low end of those communities in terms of percent of our general fund budget that our generated free cash is. And that is my presentation. Director Nardi, do you have anything to add? Okay.
No. Okay. Councilors, any questions for the mayor, Director Nardi, about the presentation? Yes, Councilor.
So first thing I want to be very clear is that, when we're talking about free cash, we're basically talking about revenues. These are not yet reserves. I mean, I think about 5.8 million of this was revenues, maybe the last year's and the one of the other maybe 1 million of it could be argued to be sort of more reserves already. But this is 5.857 million of it at least that is fresh revenue that we're basically deciding what we want to do with. The revenue estimates were pushed a bit more last year. I would ask, was there anything particularly surprising? I mean, there was a quarter when the interest income jumped up, it went over $1 million, and then it came back to like 600 or something. We see this information quarterly. There was a higher than usual number of permits. I forget if that was the gas company trenching to replace things or something. So there was some variation. The local receipts, like the motor vehicle, the hotel rooms tax, meals tax. The state says that we are not by law, we cannot, without like really making a good excuse, ever estimate the future revenue above the last year's actual revenue. But we always estimate well less than the last year's actual revenue. That said, there were arguments, say during the election season, that we should estimate much closer. The other argument is that, okay, we go with cautious estimates, but then when we're end the year with money in the bank, basically, that, now we have a time to talk about how we want to use this. And this idea that, the money we're left with, this money that came from unpredictability, and I would say extremely cautious estimating of the unpredictability, that this is money that is special in a way. And we use this in one way, and then we use the very predictable money, like the property taxes, in a different way. And that troubles me, because when we look at the kinds of spending we have as a city, we have capital spending, we have recurring spending. And we're sort of saying that our ratio of capital to recurring spending is determined by this invisible hand of unpredictability. It bothers me that we don't budget for capital. Some cities bond more of their capital, so it becomes a recurring bond service, and it very easily shows up in a budget. But it's like we don't have an overt process of saying, this is what we want to spend on capital in cash. We don't have a cash capital budget. And I would say, well, in fact, we do. It's just not something we overtly talk about. So it's a behind-the-scenes planning rather than us sitting here in this room talking collaboratively planning. And I think that puts us in a challenging position because, we just did some school energy projects. We have service shortfalls in the schools. So, a solar panel is a very, very worthy investment. A reading interventionist is a very worthy investment. But we never have the conversation as a community, as a government, how we weigh the value of those two things. We instead say that, oh, this was determined for us by the categories of the money. And that causes us to move the line of the categorization of that money to suit our own personal priorities. And I think we need to start having much clearer just discussions. And these are, solar panels, yes. Teaching kids to read, yes. These are both very important, but we need to be actually willing to weigh them on our merits rather than just say that this decision was made for us.
Okay.
May I respond?
Yeah.
So we used to budget for cash capital. We've pulled it out of the budget to put more money into schools. So that had been a practice for quite a while, and we've had to,
But
we've pulled back from it.
that was $200,000-300,000.
And, but it had been built into the budget.
Well, it was very
I
small.
will.
Counselor,
I'm-
Counselor, let's let the mayor, and I can come back to you, but let's let the mayor finish.
So, I guess I would just ask you why, or say, are you saying that you don't agree with what the Department of Revenue says should be considered recurring and non-recurring funds?
That is a very general guideline. It is certainly not a law. It doesn't consider all situations. At this point, what is recurring or non-recurring? That really bases. This was all I could think. I could argue this was almost all recurring revenue, the $5.8 million. These are all taxes that come in every year. Is there unpredictability? Yes. But because we base our value decisions as a community between capital and recurring expenses, we are incentivized to play with that dividing line of what is recurring versus what is unpredictable. And so instead of, making that decision on our priorities, we're gaming our predictions and we're padding our predictions to achieve this. Yet, I'm not saying we need to push our revenue. I'm saying that we know what we got last year. There's no uncertainty about last year's money. Now we're in a position where we can decide how we best use last year's money. And as I'm sure we're all aware, we just got a bunch of outreach from school committee members who want to put a mid-year appropriation,
Point of order.
on there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know that this is the time for us to be hearing a long lecture about this.
We
I
did
thought
just hear a long lecture.
from you.
No, we heard a long lecture from the
Yeah. So I would say, I was thinking that we need to focus this on the item, which is where to refer this. And then we will we will also be voting on this, and that's a time also to have a discussion. So I would agree that we need to keep it focused on the next stop for these agenda items. So if you could just kind of wrap up the thought about that.
I would be okay with moving to forward the first item, the 003 to finance. I do think that 004 needs a little bit of its own coverage before we just wash our hands of it for the night.
Okay, hold on. Was there another, Counselor, were you going to speak to your point of order or something else? I think Counselor Nabat had her hand up. Did you?
I do.
Okay, and I'll come back to you. Yeah.
My first question is, are these being moved forward as a group and to be referred to finance? Is that the question? We did have two pulled out for discussion.
Yeah, so the motion.
But beyond the discussion that we just had right now about that, now these as a group now would get as a group or individually referred?
Yes, well, the motion on the floor is to refer 26.003 and 26.004 to finance, and we have not discussed C, D, and E, the 26.005 through 007. So right now, we're only discussing the first two and where to refer those, and the motion on the floor, which was seconded, is to refer those two to finance.
Okay. Can I make a motion to move 005, 006, and 007 to the finance?
You can. I would like to.
Discussion?
I would like to just finish up. We need to vote on the first two, but hold on to that motion. I mean, in your head, and let's. We're still discussing the first two, and then we'll do that. And yes. Oh wait, the Councilor Lozelle.
Well, I want to clarify what we were doing, because it seemed like we had this motion, then we had a presentation from the mayor.
Yeah.
And I thought then it was time for us to ask questions or make comments on the mayor's presentation.
Yes.
Okay. So
yes,
my comment is that I did go to the Mass Municipal Association meeting where we had an hour-long presentation from the head of the Department of Local Services, and what he said about the percentage of what they recommend. It's a recommendation, it's not a law, but it's a recommendation from the Department of Local Services, exactly what the mayor said. So she's talking about what the state recommends. And it was very clear. And
point of order?
No.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, wait. Well, no, we have to. Yes, Councilor Stratton.
The free cash percentage is distinct from the allocation of it to a stabilization fund.
That's more of a point of information, but that's okay.
My point was
Okay.
that you were talking about it's all recurring revenue, and I don't think that's right.
Okay.
Could you identify a
Wait,
one-time funding
Councilor
source that was
Stratton,
present in
we
this?
have to. I'm sorry, we have to move. Wait, let me. So, okay. Why don't you ask Councilor Loisel her question? Then we have Councilor Vice President Clemmer, Councilor Robbins, and what I was saying was that we can certainly discuss. We had a presentation but it's really the motive of our discussion is to refer these, because we're certainly going to keep discussing them before we vote. So let's just keep our eye on the prize of getting these to the proper referrals, which is either, in this case, finance or the consent agenda. So you wanted to follow up with Councilor Loisel. You had a question, and then we'll do that, and then we'll go on to the Vice President Clemmer and Councilor Robbins.
Just want to observe that we've had absolutely no discussion of 26004 yet, which I believe was included in
Correct.
Councilor Robbins' motion.
Correct.
Yes, I was asking Councilor Loisel if she could identify components of the free cash that she felt were non-recurring.
No, I wouldn't get into the weeds like that. I mean,
Well,
it's certified by the
challenged
state.
the assertion
Okay.
that this was recurring revenue.
Yeah, I think we're getting off. I think I would like to move on. We have other councilors who haven't spoken to this item yet. Vice President Clemmer and then Councilor Robbins.
Yeah, I just want to make a clarification. Council Stratton, you said that we aren't pushing revenue. We pushing revenue was 90% the previous year, and this year we pushed it to 95%.
No.
So no, we have pushed revenues.
Yeah.
DOR doesn't recommend that you go over 90%, so some we are close to, some we are over, some we are not.
But we have pushed revenues this year.
We have pushed
because
revenues
people have been asking
significantly.
us to do that.
And in many cases, it was over the 90%, but not all revenues, not all the revenue lines. But yes, many of them, we did put that presentation together and show that to you.
Yeah, I remember, just didn't have the percentages right, but, so we are pushing revenue though.
I
and-
said as much, actually. You
Yeah,
might have misheard
wait,
me. But
Council Robbins?
I wonder if I could call the question.
Like to call the question.
whoa, talked about all
So
of
we'd have to,
So I actually would be, I think that there's a lot to be discussed about both of these items. I would love to have them go to finance, give us a chance to be able to delve a little bit deeper, and give us an opportunity to come back with a recommendation from finance and have a deeper and longer conversation in this open body, based on a little bit more solid evidence and time to really think about what's in front of us.
okay, so there's a motion, call the question, we need a second. No, I understand what it means, we need a second. for
I second it.
that. So when we do that, so we would do that before we vote on the other motion. Okay, so the motion, there's a new motion on the floor, which would end discussion on the referral of these two items. And there's a second by, did you second? By Vice President Clemmer. And so we have to vote on this, it's 5, right? And do we vote before there's discussion on call to question, or no? I
If there
think-
is discussion on.
could I just make a point of information that Director Lascalia is in the room, and we have a very complicated item in 004 that we've heard nothing about, and she's here. I would like to hear from her.
I'm just trying, hold on, I need to, if someone calls a question, I don't know if you can have discussion until you vote.
Right, I think they probably should take a vote on whether to call the question.
Yeah, you generally, when you call the question, it's supposed to shut conversation and, until you vote. So we need 5 affirmative votes to refer, to call the question on, and then we will actually vote on the referral. Okay. I'm saying it more to myself than maybe we need to. Okay, so let's take a vote. So the motion on the floor is to call the question and discussion on the referral of these two items. Okay, right?
Do you want to take a roll call for that, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Counselor Davis,
Yes.
Counselor Dobbs,
Yes.
Counselor Clemmer,
Yes.
Counselor Loizal,
Yes.
Counselor Maori,
Yes.
Counselor Nabad,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
No.
Counselor Robbins,
Yes.
and Counselor Stratton.
No.
Okay, so that's,
Passes.
okay, so 2 noes, that passes. I also want to give the point of information. So that passes, so we're ending discussion on those 2. General point of information, if something's referred to finance, we have 60 days. There's 60 days for which finance can review and refer, just so you know, because I know people were talking about timelines. So that's a lot of time. So anyway, on to, oh, yeah. Yes.
Process question?
Yes.
So these 2 orders will go to finance.
Mm-hmm.
Finance committee can then ask Director Lascalia to come give a presentation there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And we can also do that at full council when it comes back. But yes.
I just want to note that Director Lascalia came tonight to do this presentation. So now she will have to come another night.
Yeah.
So
Move to reconsider.
Okay. Okay, so how was it 5? So we need a second. So Council Stratton has put a motion to reconsider, which means that we would reconsider the
Call to question.
call to question or the motion to call to question.
I will second that.
So second. So motion to reconsider. Okay, so that's 5? That's 5. So let's do a roll call just because it's getting.
Okay. Counselor Dobbs,
Yes.
Counselor Clemmer,
Yes.
Counselor Loisel.
Yes.
Counselor Maori,
Yes.
Counselor Nabad,
Yes.
Counselor Perry,
Yes.
Counselor Robbins, Counselor Stratton,
Yes.
and Counselor Davis.
Yeah, where is Director Lascala? Is she on Zoom? Oh, I didn't see her. Yeah, okay. So now we're back to our motion. Wait, yes, we're back. We don't have to repeat the original motion. Because we just reconsidered. I understand, please, I'm clarifying to people. We have removed the call to question so that we're back to the original motion to refer these two items to finance. And we were going to hear, now that we're discussing it again, let's bring up Director Lascalia to look at 26.004. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it, and nice to see the returning counselors and those who are new. So I'm here to speak about the order for the enterprise funds, and I can explain each appropriation. I think the easiest thing to do is to start by saying that each enterprise fund that's listed, the order's not up, so I'll just do it from memory, so water, sewer, and stormwater. Each of those enterprises is a closed system. Thank you. So each of these enterprises is a closed system. So all revenues that are generated by each enterprise stay within the enterprise. If there is more revenue generated than expected or less expenses expended than we expect, say that 3 times fast, all of that money stays within the enterprise. So each year at this time, we come to council and we ask the council to vote appropriations to our various ongoing capital projects that I speak about throughout the year in various places. The most recent time that I talked about all of these projects was when I did my capital presentation. So if anyone sat on that committee or watched that recording, I spoke about all of the ongoing work in the enterprises during that fairly lengthy presentation. I also talk about it when we do utility rates in March. So I can just give you kind of a brief overview of each one of these projects. We have 2 transmission mains. I'll start with the first one, $1.4 million for water from Water Enterprise retained earnings that will be going to the transmission main. And I'll just back up very briefly and say that we strive to maintain a balance of 10% of the total value of the enterprise in retained earnings. So the value of the water enterprise is $6.945 million. We always want to hold 10% of the value of the enterprise within retained earnings. We take the additional revenue, $1.4 million, and now we appropriate it to a project within that enterprise. So the city is served by 2 transmission mains. One's a 36-inch, one is a 20-inch. Both have to be in operation. They come from the water treatment plant in Williamsburg, and they come into the city where they feed the distribution system. Both of those have to operate, and they have to operate at the same time together. One cannot be out of service, or we can't maintain pressure to the city. So those transmission mains are probably the 2 most critical pieces of infrastructure that we have. The 36-inch is relatively new and runs along the roadway. The 20-inch was actually constructed around the turn of the century, and I don't mean the last century, I mean 1900. So it runs largely through a swamp. So it kind of starts at the Mountain Street Reservoir and runs along the Beaver Brook. I don't know if anyone's ever hiked in there. It's kind of an interesting area to hike in. And when you're hiking there, you can consider that you're actually walking on top of our transmission main. It actually pops out in the back of Beaver Brook Golf Course. And you can see it, and it's exposed in several places. So we have been working on a project for many years, and for those who've been on the council for some time, you've heard me talk about this project for quite some time. So we've been working on a project to relocate that 20-inch line and turn it into a 24-inch line and actually bring it out onto the road so that we can get at it if there's a problem. As fate would have it, there's a tip project that's going to reconstruct Mountain Street. It's actually on the tip, and it is programmed for this year, and so we are going to get into that project. This is a non-participating cost, and the water enterprise will need to bear the cost of that work. It's about 2 miles of relocation, and the total cost is going to be about $6 million. So, we're working to appropriate that money. We've applied for SRF funding. SRF stands for State Revolving Fund. It's a low-interest loan that we've used for other large projects. It's unclear if we will be able to achieve that low interest rate, but in the meantime, we have this available money, and this is a good use for it. So this is the mayor's and my recommendation. So that's a executive summary of the transmission main. Next 2 items are from the SOAR Enterprise Fund. So SOAR Enterprise budget is $6.177 million. As I mentioned, we want 10% of that in retained earnings. This is the additional revenue that we are asking to appropriate to the 2 projects listed. So we have 2 big places where we spend money in the SOAR enterprise. One is the wastewater treatment plant and pump stations, and one is sewer mains. So both are reflected here. We've split the available money. That's why you've got that sort of strange-looking number. It's certainly not round. But it's the same number, and it's going to both places where we have needs. So we engaged a consulting firm to write a comprehensive wastewater management plan for us, which was finished in 2016 and is posted on our website. Some night, if you can't fall asleep, I highly recommend reading it. It's like 1,000 pages long. It's got appendices, and it talks all about our wastewater treatment plant and the pump stations and the sewer collection system and all of the things that we need to do to improve them. So many of you may know we're in the midst of a $20+ million upgrade project at the wastewater treatment plant right now. We also need to pay attention to our remote pump stations. There are several throughout the city where wastewater cannot flow by gravity, so we actually have to pump it through our system. So all of those pump stations are in as poor condition as our wastewater treatment plant was, and those need to be addressed. So that's the first part of the appropriation. And then the second piece of this is our sewer collection system. We have over 100 miles of sewer mains. Many of them were installed at the turn of the century, and again, not the year 2000, but they're from like 1880. Some of them are from like 1860. So we're continuing to do what we can where we can. It's important to note that a lot of these sewers are buried at depths of up to 15 feet. So this isn't like dig a hole and throw a trench box in the ground. This is like we're actually going to destroy this street if we need to dig it up. So what we do is we line the pipes, and it's a cured in place liner. And we've done quite a bit of work in Ward 5. We had a really big focus over the past 3 years. It's our obligation under the Code of Massachusetts regulations, which was established for wastewater infrastructure in 2017. That's 314 CMR 12, if anyone wants to read it. That's from May 2017. And it requires us to address inflow and infiltration into the sewer system. So what happens is when it rains, stormwater gets into the pipes from the 1800s and the 1900s, and then it flows to our wastewater treatment plant where we actually have to treat it as though it's wastewater. So that CMR was established to force municipalities to address that deficiency, and it's really to protect our wastewater treatment operations. So we are focused on lining these old pipes, focused in Ward 2. So we have a project coming up, Crescent Street, Franklin Street, Prospect Street, that kind of neighborhood area. And I'll just mention, over the past 2 years, we've spent more than $2 million lining pipes, and the money goes fast. So the last piece of this is from the Stormwater Enterprise. Stormwater Enterprise is at $2 million, where it's been since its inception. So we don't typically have a lot of money that we come to council with for this. But I will mention we have 2 big expenses in the stormwater enterprise, and I'm only going to speak to the one that is on the order tonight, and that's drain replacement. The other is levees. But I'll talk to drain replacement tonight. So many of our roads are in very poor condition because our drains are in as poor condition as our sewer lines are. So we have to address flooding throughout the city. You know, we have these wet weather events and precipitation that's, you know, outside of what we used to get. We get, you know, 2-3 inches of rain in a half an hour and the whole city floods. And I think everybody in here has experienced that and likely heard complaints from constituents around that. So we have a variety of projects that are always in various stages of development and implementation, and this money goes to support that. So those are my remarks. I'm happy to take questions.
Questions for the director? Let's see, I didn't, Councilor Robbins and Councilor Loisel.
Thank you for that, Director. Are these reference to the SIP? Can we find those in the SIP for FY '26?
You can.
Is there, okay, it would be helpful possibly for if it goes to finance, if you could let us know exactly where that occurs and how that comes in. So if you could do that when you write up this project to say, so here's the money that we're asking for allocation, and then reference it to where it occurs in the FY '26 SIP, that would be super.
So you want to see that in the financial order?
It would be really helpful.
That's right.
Yeah, so we could dig through it and find it, but you're referencing it when you put it in there already, yeah? So you've probably got that on hand. We don't need it tonight.
So this is the order to appropriate the funds, and then you will see it reflected in the SIP as coming out of her general fund budget.
It's not from our previous SIP for this year, for the 5-year that's already projected?
So no, this is a new order to put the funds into these accounts for ongoing projects, and you will see them reflected in the new SIP coming forward, that she continues to work on the projects she described.
So is there a reason why we're not waiting until we see the new SIP before we do this?
There are movements from this is just an annual order that we move into these funds every year, and as she presented to the SIP, it will be part of the SIP, but then you'll see it coming out of the general fund, not out of, yeah.
I'm sorry, can I just ask a clarifying question? Are you trying to match the value of this order
No,
to a value in the SIP?
No. I want to, my understanding is that the SIP that you present to us every year, that we update every year for the 5-year SIP, reflects your projections of what projects you're going to do. So the upcoming projects that you're going to entertain. So I guess I thought that you were just coming to us for the allocation of the money for something that was already in the SIP for a projection that you had made prior to this. So I think what I'm hearing is this is a new one that's coming up for FY '27.
These are annual allocations to ongoing projects. These projects are in the SIP every year.
That's why I would like to see it. So. Sure, go ahead. explain it to me.
I think
Yeah.
maybe what my colleague is
Yeah.
trying to express is it's kind of odd to be seeing this when we haven't seen the SIP itself yet. I mean, you know, we watched a Zoom webinar, but we didn't have the document in front of us, so we kind of only know what people are talking about if they happen to mention it. My interest is much more about the specific of these, so I will
Counselor,
address that later.
yeah,
but-
thanks. Because Counselor Loisel had her hand up, I believe.
No, it passed.
Okay. Okay, Counselor Stratton, I'm sorry, did anyone else have questions or?
So I just had that one more.
Yes.
I still don't, so it's not in a current SIP, the money that you're asking for now.
It is.
Maybe I can help clarify.
It's an ongoing, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I might be able to explain this. So the SIP, but when I put the numbers in the SIP, the numbers are big. You know, if you look at SIPs from years past, you know, we're asking for like $30 or $40 million. The enterprises are so small relative to the financial needs that you can't fund $30 million in one shot out of the enterprise, like in an order, if I were to come in here in April and say, could you please authorize this $30 million order? The only way you can do it is spread it out throughout the year when we have the opportunity to do it, which is now from retained earnings from the prior year. So we are funding ongoing projects that have been discussed in prior SIPs and will be discussed in the coming SIP to the extent that we can with the funding that is available to us.
So those are line items that are in the SIP.
They are, and they're
Those are
also
projected line items.
They are, and they're also line items that are in the operating budgets of all of the enterprises. And we fund them to the maximum, to our maximum ability each year while providing rate stability.
So that's what it would be helpful to see then when that order comes in front of us. That line item. You and I can talk about it, okay? Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'm.
Can I ask a question?
Are you, oh yeah, go ahead, Counselor.
I have a quick question. So these enterprise funds here that we're talking about for these two orders, it's not, these are enclosed budget situations. So we can't lift money up that's going to go to an enterprise and move it over to some other part of a city budget.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I just had a question for Counselor. Are you saying like page number with the line item? And we can follow up on
I
this
don't have the
perhaps.
SIP in front of me. I
Yeah,
don't know
okay.
what it is.
Let's follow up. And in fact, this is something we, can be discussed at finance. But, so any more questions for, yes, Director LaScalia. Yes, Counselor Stratton.
So I'm just going to try to run through a number of things quickly. You talked about replacing the transmission line down from Mountain Street and also, some sewer things. Well, I guess you're mostly relining the sewers. Has there been any conversation with City IT about running fiber along with the transmission line? I know they're trying to sort of build out fiber any opportunity. Just, it's not a subject for now. It just seems like it might be an interesting conversation for you to have with the IT director. You mentioned infiltration into the sanitary sewer. Do we currently still have problems with illegal cross connections, like where somebody misroutes their sump pump or something?
We do. Part of our regulatory requirements are that we actually have to search for those, and when we search for those, they have to be reported and corrected. There are, many communities deal with a lot more cross connections than we do, but there are certainly situations when those arise. So good point. I will be reaching out to you, if it's in your ward, to ask for your assistance. But we have not a lot of regulatory leeway on that, and it does need to be corrected. So thanks for bringing that up.
And I promise this isn't about Alamo Court, but I think it would be really helpful if you could give us a list of, where the sewer and the stormwater projects are. I mean, you are in the operational half of the city and we are in the legislative half of the city. And formally, we only talk at the moment of money. I hope we will talk a lot more than that. But, I think it would be nice to illustrate this financial order with an understanding of where these projects are, which streets, that kind of thing. My last question is, I heard some mention of using the stormwater fund for the project on Old Wilson Road and National Leonard Brook. And is any of that included in this, or is that a future conversation?
Any money that we would use for the Old Wilson Road project has already been previously appropriated. This is not really enough money to make a huge impact in any one particular project. It's just an appropriation that goes into our storm drain account, which I use when something blows up.
Yes.
And, when something blows up, it costs $35,000 to fix it, and, this money will go quickly.
Oh, okay. I was having trouble understanding sort of when the Old Wilson project got its approval. I guess it was a number of years ago. Maybe that's probably an offline question for the mayor. But thank you. That's what I was curious about. So, if a list could somehow get associated with this order as it goes through finance, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Loizao.
This is just, I didn't see on the agenda that we were going to have a presentation, and I wonder, maybe I missed it, but if we are going to have a presentation, I would never want to have somebody come to a meeting and then leave without giving the presentation they were asked to
Right.
give. So
I wasn't aware either, so
I'm wondering if we can have that noted on the agenda, because I don't, I'm glad that you.
Okay.
I think it's been kind of traditional with this kind of order that there was a presentation when it was introduced.
Let's not talk out of turn. Yes, I will.
Well, I didn't know.
Okay, yep. So I will discuss that with the mayor. It can be rolled into the general, it's not we have a separate section for presentations, which is usually not related to items, but I can certainly, I can certainly clarify who's going to be here, for information and for presenting the orders.
I mean, I think what I did was more of a presentation, and I maybe should have given a heads up. Director Scalia was really just presenting this order.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And that's been our practice. That's why we come, is
Right.
to speak to the orders. Right.
To give background and information.
Yes. Yep. Right, but I wasn't aware when I voted for the move to consideration that Director LaScalia was here. So yeah, that would be all right. So, okay. So, any more questions for Director LaScalia on that are related to this agenda item and her presentation, or whatever. Okay. So back. Thank you, Director. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so we are back to the motion to refer both these items to finance, which has been seconded. We never do it. So let's, if there's no further discussion, let's take a vote. Can we do it just a roll call? Just because.
Sure. Councillor Clemmer?
Yes.
Councillor Loisel?
Yes.
Councillor Maori?
Yes.
Councillor Nabad?
Yes.
Councillor Perry?
Yes.
Councillor Robbins?
Yes.
Councillor Stratton?
Yes.
Councillor Davis?
Yes.
And Councillor Dobbs?
Yes.
Okay, so that passes, and that will go to finance. Finance, we still have to have our organizing meeting, but we'll figure out. Yes, we could put on that agenda. So on a future agenda of finance. Okay, so now we're on to 26.005, an order to appropriate $251,025 to free cash to MPS Special Education Stabilization, and D 26.006, in order to appropriate free cash to MPS for McKinney-Bento transportation reimbursement, and 26.007, in order to appropriate free cash to MPS for foster care transportation reimbursement. So we can either refer these, to finance or to the consent agenda. Yes.
I
Councilor
would
referred.
move that we consider item C, 26005, on its own. And if we want to charge ahead and do the others first, that's great. But I would like to talk about 005.
Okay. Yes. So, Councilor, would you like to talk about? Yeah.
So this is a kind of an interesting order because special education is really a recurring expense. And now suddenly, after just talking about how we couldn't use reserves, which is to say stabilization funds, for routine predictable expenses, that's now exactly what we're proposing to do here. There is a balance in the Special Education Stabilization Fund. It was seeded with $800,000, and we basically put this Medicare money, which is reimbursement for what are basically recurring services that are performed in the school. We put it in it every year, and then we take it out again. So we're kind of using it as a revolving fund. The order that established this established a limit in a yearly withdrawal of $350,000. So we're kind of running $251,000 through it routinely on a revolving basis. But if we actually had an unexpected case, which in this case, this would be a student with severe needs moving into the district, and that can be very expensive on a case-by-case basis. If we actually had the kind of unexpected expense that this fund exists in its definition to solve, we wouldn't be able to do that because we're already using much of the capacity up in routine spending. So I would really ask that the mayor consider rewriting this order to appropriate the money to the operating budget and not to the stabilization fund. We leave the stabilization fund as it is for for unplanned expenses, but we really should put the recurring revenue, the funding that is intended for recurring expenses, I would really argue should go into the operating budget as a recurring funding source.
Would you like to speak to that? Okay, Director Nardi.
So the money does go to the budget annually. It's just a year behind. So the money that we're putting here for 251,000 will go, and the school uses 350,000 of it every year.
So
they used it this
250, not 350 is the limit.
350 is the limit, and every year we expect that they will use up to the limit.
So if there was an unexpected expense, how would we cover
They
it?
would bring an order forward, and the mayor would consider bringing that forward to you. If there
Okay.
was something that was above and beyond and an emergency in addition to what we expect annually.
But we are unable to tap the balance in that fund for an emergency because we've already hit the 350 limit.
I think that's above and beyond, so we expect the 350 annually, and then if there was an emergency, I believe the discussion would happen with the mayor. If there was something that was extreme.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Counselor, there's other counselors too, and I want you to be able to ask your questions, but we need to raise hands in case someone else has already been waiting. We do allow, a little bit back and forth with the questions. So I would like to see other counselors, and I will come back. I think someone did have their hand up. I should start writing it down. Oh, Counselor Nabad.
Sure. So when I reviewed the establishment of this stabilization fund, and I remember when it went through, I thought it was a great idea, a great solution. And so I would support moving this to the consent agenda tonight because I think it's good for ensuring a balanced approach in addressing the needs of the most vulnerable students in our school. I think that this stabilization fund is a sustainable solution. And I think, I feel like time is pressing as we watch the federal government hack away at Medicaid and Medicare funding and things like that. So I think that makes it even more important to get this done, and I would like to refer this to the consent agenda. Thank you.
Okay, Counselor, so there's a motion by Counselor Nabad to move this item to the consent agenda. Is there a second? Okay, a second by Counselor Davis. And and
Could I ask one more question? It is my understanding that after this money goes into the Special Education Stabilization Fund, the school committee cannot spend it. They have to come, even for the expected portion, they have to come to the city council for an order to spend it.
Both bodies have to agree on spending it.
Yes.
Okay. So motion on the floor. Any other counselors who haven't spoken yet want to speak? Yes, Counselor.
And if I could
Nabad.
just say one more thing.
Yes.
I did look into this, and this has nothing to do with mid-year appropriations at all. This is completely separate, and so with that also helped me to make my decision to want this on the consent agenda. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Vice President.
Yeah, I think all of these they're helping the students, and, they need the money for really good causes, and I move to put D and E also on the consent agenda.
Okay, but I hear that's a separate motion. So let's hold on to that motion, and why don't we vote on the motion on the floor, which is to move 26.005 in order to appropriate 251,025 to free cash, to the stabilization fund. So no, we can try a voice vote. No, it's a financial error, so we have to do a roll call.
Actually, since it's just to refer.
Oh,
we
right,
could do
just
a
to
voice
refer.
vote.
Great. So let's do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
No.
Okay, so one. Any abstentions? Okay, so that passes. Okay, so we have another motion that's been made. Would you just repeat your motion, because we didn't need a
Sure.
second?
26.006 and 26.007, I'd like to just move both of them to the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have, I think, Counselor Nabad, did you second that? Or-
No, it was-
sorry, Counselor
Stratton.
Stratton. Okay. Second, So any discussion on this motion?
I would just comment that these are major cost centers, but these are extremely important commitments to our children. I mean, you know, when a child's world dissolves, fractures, and they end up in foster care or, you know, a situation like that, having them be able to stay in their school with their teacher, with their friends, this may be the rock in their life. So this is expensive, but this is extremely important, and I'm eager to vote for this.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion from counselors before we vote on the motion? Okay. So we can do a voice vote. All those in favor of moving 26.06006 and 26.007 to the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstention? Okay, so that's unanimous. Okay, so we got through the financial orders. Okay, now we're on to just general orders, which is 26.009, in order to amend the 2020 to 2027 City Council meeting schedule. This is only requires one reading. Let me just pull it up.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilor Nabad. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Councilor Perry. Any discussion? Okay, Councilor Stratton.
Apparently, we don't want to meet on International Tug of War Day. No, I understand it's school vacation. Specifically the February meeting. I am very troubled, though, by the idea that this body would meet on March 5th and then not until February 5th. You know, I think the voters elected us to do a job, and we need to be present and doing this job. We said we were going to have a Finance Committee listening session. You know, we owe them that voice. So I'm really troubled that we are removing a meeting rather than rescheduling it. And I worry that this may lead to less than ideal practices, like running 2 readings through in one night, or it may put us in a position where we need a special meeting. I mean, I know that the school committee is hoping to talk about a mid-year appropriation on the 12th. We won't be able to, you know, think about that until March 5th then. And I think we need to be present in doing our jobs. So I would encourage my colleagues to consider rescheduling this meeting in February rather than canceling it.
Well, I would just say I respectfully disagree. I think we are all working very hard. We have lots of subcommittee meetings and budget seasons around the corner, and that will really take a lot of wind out of your sails, because it's a lot of work, and we often attend each other's subcommittee meetings because there's so much important information being imparted so fast. I'm happy to have a special meeting if there is a time-sensitive item, but that's not the case here. And we go to once a month in the summer, and our work is continuous. I'm sure you are working all the time on your council issues, and I'm not concerned that we're not attending or working hard enough for the city. It's just, I'm not going to schedule a meeting when we don't have the staff or the agenda items. I think I would like to respect our council more than that. Yes, Vice President.
Yeah, and Council President Maori and I discussed it. When we don't cancel meetings lightly. The way the calendar's set up, we would have had 2 meetings back to back, a week apart on either end. So we felt that it was prudent and to just not have a meeting in the middle of the month when a lot of people are away. And so it's not like we just cancel meetings because we don't feel like going. We've looked at options, and there just weren't any. And like Councilman Maori said, we do work really hard, and you'll see when the budget comes up that we'll have plenty to do, and there's still plenty to do when we don't have meetings too.
Yes, and just to add that a lot of the general public is also not able to attend that meeting, so there's not a lot of transparency there. Okay, any other discussion about this motion? It's already on the floor. Any other discussion? If not, we can do a voice vote. So all those in favor of 26.009, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One no. Any abstentions? Okay, so that passes. And let's see. We're on to new business. Any new business? Any written business? Okay.
I'll move to adjourn then.
Okay. We need
Second.
Second. Okay, so Councilor Perry moves to adjourn, second by Councilor Davis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, councilors. Excellent job. Have a great night.